2 days after being home, something just felt really wrong. I kept having these visions of getting hurt so I could go back to the hospital and not have to be a mom or take care of a baby. I always say I was lucky because for me, it hit really quickly and a red flag went up. I was so excited about this, and yet I can't stop crying. I want nothing to do with my son. I don't want to get out of bed. Like, what did I just do to my life? I just blew up my life. I don't want to do this. I made a horrible mistake. With all that, you're like, what the hell is wrong with me?
You're listening to the MILF Podcast. This is the show where we talk about motherhood and sexuality with amazing women with fascinating stories to share on the joys of being a MILF. Now here's your host, the MILFiest MILF I know, Jennifer Tracy.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Jennifer Tracy. This is MILF Podcast, the show where we talk about motherhood, entrepreneurship, sexuality, and everything in between. And I talk with creative moms about birthing more than babies. So today on the show, we have Jen Schwartz of Motherhood Understood. Jen is a postpartum anxiety survivor, and she talks very openly about her journey through postpartum and her diagnosis and treatment. And I just really was so honored that she wanted to be on the show, because I think it's so empowering when one woman speaks out about her experience with postpartum depression, anxiety, any of the various things that we can experience. It really opens the door for other moms who are experiencing that now or have experienced it. And it really brings so much relief. I know it has for me even now still. When I was experiencing my postpartum depression, I didn't know about a podcast. There might have been one at the time, but I didn't know about it. This was almost 10 years ago. And I felt so alone. I felt so isolated, and I felt like something was so wrong with me. And I just want to say, if you're suffering, there's nothing wrong with you. You're perfectly normal, and you're doing the very best you can, and you're exactly where you need to be. And please reach out and get help. Call your OBGYN, call your general doctor, call your clinic, and explain to them the way that you're feeling and the thoughts that you're thinking. Because it is not rainbows and unicorns for most of us when we have babies. That's not reality. So, but there is help. So anyway, I was thrilled to sit down with Jen. We weren't actually in the same room because she's in North Carolina, but we were able to connect online, and I was able to interview her, and she just had so many wonderful insights. So I really hope you enjoy this interview. Also, I'm starting a new program. My amazing team, I have like the most amazing team behind me. Also, I just want to be really transparent about that. I am not a one-woman show. It might look like that sometimes, but I always want to pull those covers and say, oh, no. I have Sarah Candela is my producer. She is miraculous. I have Corinne Bowen helping me with my marketing. I have Liz, who does, I don't even know how many jobs Liz does. She just does so many different jobs. And I have Derek, our amazing editor, and I always say this, he makes me sound way better than I actually sound. So I have a team of people that help me do this. And I don't really think I could do it without them. Or if I did it, it would be like, okay, but it wouldn't be as good as it is. And it's really good, you guys. It's just so good. So it is. It actually is. Anyway, with that, shout out to my peeps, my team. I love my team. I love you guys. I love you so much. So Sarah gave me the idea of picking a charity each month and giving $1 for every iTunes review that we get, giving $1 to that charity. And I love that idea. So that's one way I'm going to start doing this and then expand it as we go on. So for the month of December, I have picked Every Mother Counts. If you're not familiar with this organization, please go check it out on everymothercounts.org. This is such an amazing organization. Their mission is to help make pregnancy and childbirth safe for everyone everywhere. So what they do is they provide access to healthcare and maternal medical needs for women and children all around the world. go check out their website so you'll learn about more what they do. But they really actually do what they say they do. And so anyway, so for every iTunes review that MILF Podcast gets in the month of December, I'm going to donate $1 to Every Mother Counts. Not only that, because it's the holidays, I'm going to triple that and give, for each review, I'm going to give $3. I don't know why I didn't just start with that. For the month of December, I'm going to give $3 for every review. I hope that you guys make me write a huge check. At the end of the month, I will give a shout out to every single person who wrote a review. So anyway, do it. And check out this organization. If you don't want to write a review and you just want to give them money, please do that. Please do that. Okay. I'm rambled long enough. I want you to hear Jen Schwartz. She is amazing. You guys are amazing. Happy holidays. And thanks so much for listening. Hi, Jen.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks so much for being on the show.
I'm so excited. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh. So you're in New York?
I'm actually in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, you're in Charlotte, North Carolina?
I am,
okay.
But I kind of go back and forth a lot. I'm from New York. My whole family's up there.
Oh.
I actually will be there this weekend. So
what is in Charlotte?
So my husband's business is in Charlotte.
Ah.
Yes. So I've been here since 2007. And I guess it's really home base, but I still like to say it's New York. Like New York is home base. Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So tell me about you. I want to know, there's so many interesting things about what you're doing and all the stuff you have going on, but I want to kind of start from the beginning. So you're originally from New York?
I am. I'm originally from New York, and I met my husband at the time. He was my boyfriend in 2004. Okay. And he moved to Charlotte that year, and we dated long distance.
Oh, wow.
And I moved here 3 years later.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it was a big transition. And so I kind of had lots of different jobs in New York before I moved here. I was living on the Upper East Side. And when I moved to Charlotte, I decided to go back to school and get my master's, and I became an English teacher.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So before motherhood and before postpartum depression and Motherhood Understood, I was a middle school English teacher.
Oh, wow. That's brave.
I know.
That is very brave.
Everybody responds that way. Everyone. And in the South, everyone is always like, oh, bless your heart.
Yeah.
Which is, and, but I loved my kids, but it was a lot. And I was an English major in college and love English and film and things like that. And so it seemed like a natural fit, and I liked it a lot, but I actually ended up quitting into my maternity leave because I knew I was not going back once I had my son. Yeah. I just, I was lucky I didn't have to. But there was no way that I could, chase around 100 middle schoolers and then come home and be a parent.
Oh, yeah.
I just couldn't do it. I give major props to everybody who does. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah. So then you had your son when was that?
I had him in March of 2013. So Jason's my husband. Mm-hmm. Jay and I had already been married for 5 years, but we had been together for 2013, 11 years.
Yeah.
He was planned. I was really excited to be a mom. I feel like I had, the fairy tale visions of what it was going to be like. And the ironic thing is that who I thought I would be after a mom, I wasn't that person before I was a mom either.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to have my baby and, fall in love with him right away and, do Pinterest things and take him everywhere. Right. And puree baby food and, just kind of transform, like when Cinderella spins around with her fairy godmother, into that dress, that was going to be me as a mom in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is I didn't really cook before I was a mom. My husband's the cook. I don't really like it that much.
Yeah.
I am not a DIY person, I like to look on Pinterest, but then I will pay someone to do the decorations for me.
Yes.
I in the hospital, so I had a really long labor. I labored for 24 hours, pushed for 2 and had a C-section. which
Wow.
apparently is and we can talk more about this later, but is a huge risk factor for postpartum depression, that long, long labor, which, we'll talk more about that later. But, I think I was pretty happy in the hospital, and I brought him home, and 2 days after being home, something just felt really wrong. And I kept having these visions of getting hurt so I could go back to the hospital and not have to be a mom or take care of a baby. And and I always say I was lucky, because for me, it hit really quickly and a red flag went up, I was so excited about this, and yet I can't stop crying.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with my son.
Yeah.
I don't want to get out of bed. Like, what did I just do to my life? I just blew up my life. I don't want to do this. I made a horrible mistake. And then with all that, you're like, what the hell is wrong with me? Because every single other mother I know, whether it's personally as a friend or, on social media, they're all like smiling.
Yeah.
They love it. They're so good at it. I mean, we know that that's not true
exactly,
now.
Right? Yeah.
But at
it
the
looks
time,
that way. Sure.
Right. And so I was like, why am I horrible at something that is supposed to come naturally to every woman? And that kind of compounded everything. And kind of from that day, that was, I guess, the first day of my postpartum depression battle, which lasted about a year.
And what did you do? Did you call someone, or did you talk to your husband? What was your first move?
Yeah. So I was, again, really lucky. So my mom, who is a therapist, as a second career, was staying with us for a few days, because we had the bris 8 days later, which if you don't know what a bris is, or people who don't know what a bris is, it's, basically a ceremony for the circumcision and it happens 8 days after your son is born. And it's a party with food. And so my mom was here, and I promised myself that night I would say something to her. I was embarrassed, but I kind of gave myself a pep talk. Like, you have to say something. Like, this isn't normal. And I was about to say something, and she, in true, Jewish New Yorker mom fashion, said, Jen, what's going on? And so my husband had already said something to her. So he noticed that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
And said something to her. And so from that point, we called my OB the next day. And that kind of led to kind of like a scavenger hunt, I feel like, of sorts, to actually find what ended up being the right treatment to get better, because I didn't know what was happening to me.
Right.
And I didn't know what I needed to get better.
Right. Major kudos to you kudos to your mom and your husband, first of all,
right.
Bravo for them being supportive and acknowledging you and being tuned into you enough to really be there for you and help you get help. And then also for you for getting the courage up to say something, which you didn't have to sort of, say,
Right.
because she sort of stepped in, but that you were going to, because and I've shared this on the show before. For me, it was 2.5 years before I asked for help. So that's amazing. So what was the next step after you went to the OBGYN and the scavenger hunt? What was the
So I went to my OB the next day. She fit me in, and, and I was hysterical crying in her office. My mom was holding the baby. My sister was with us too, because I didn't want to hold the baby. And she just, she said, it's really early. We can't really diagnose anything for 2 weeks, because it could just be baby blues, and I know her from the community also. So she's kind of like a friend's acquaintance, but she has, and she also said, I've seen so many women like this, women who are lawyers and doctors, like this, who are thriving now. But at the time, that didn't help, because I didn't even know what was wrong with me. So she prescribed me Klonopin and for the anxiety, and sent me home. And I guess I had to wait 2 weeks to see if it got better or not. So I started taking the Klonopin. It was amazing, because I would lie in bed and take it, and the thoughts would stop. And I would fall asleep. And while family members were taking care of Mason, my son. But then after a few days, the Klonopin stopped working. That's how bad the anxiety was. So I called my regular doctor, freaking out. And I went there, hysterical crying. He didn't really, I don't think he said anything about, maternal mental health or postpartum depression. He prescribed me Xanax, extended release or something. So it releases a little each day. And that didn't work. And my mom helped me find a therapist. And, and as I always say, finding a therapist is like dating,
Yes.
you might not, right? You might kiss, like you might not find the right one at first. And so the first one I went to, I remember sitting on her couch and she just wanted to talk about ways I could be a good mom.
Oh God.
How could you be a good mom?
Oh
no. Right. And I don't have a diagnosis. I don't know what's wrong with me. I would have done anything to make the anxiety stop. Like, like the 5 stages of grief. It's like the 5 stages of postpartum anxiety. And I was in the bargaining phase. Like, please, whatever you like, just take it away.
Yeah.
And I didn't even want to be a mom. So how could I even think about being a good mom? So then, and this was now, I feel like maybe two weeks in, so I'm suffering, now for 2 weeks at least. And, which isn't really a long time when you think about,
but when you're in that kind of pain,
no, of course.
Like
and
forever, but
right. And then, luckily, just randomly, we were looking online, and Googling for more therapists. And I happened to just type in postpartum depression, Charlotte, North Carolina. And I found a woman, Dr. Thorne. She works at a little office. There's 4 of them called the Postpartum Center for the Carolinas. And I called right away. I think it was a weekend. I left a message. She called me back on Monday and I made an appointment and I went in there and I swear to God, like the sky opened up, like with like, it wasn't better, but like, that there was some light because she gave me a diagnosis, right? She talked to me and told me about postpartum depression. She told me that she treats thousands of moms like me every day. In my head, I really was the only one in the entire universe going through this because I didn't know anybody else who ever had it or whoever talked about it. And she also gave me a sheet of paper to check off different boxes, which were risk factors of postpartum depression. And I had a lot of them. And they're different for every mom. So it's really hard to give a pregnant mom, a checklist because it's not one size fits all. But she said, I do this because it takes the blame off of you. And you see that there are all these things that are part of the reason why you're going through this. And I wish somebody, slipped that risk factor sheet in my bag, at an OB appointment or something. But basically, because she educated me and she diagnosed me and said, it gets better. And I didn't believe her, right? Like I thought she was lying to me at every appointment when she said, it's going to get better. You're going to get better. I felt like I was going to live that way forever. But finding the woman who specialized in it, the doctor who specialized, is really what made the difference. And then between her and my regular doctor, they got me into a psychiatrist pretty quickly. And he put me on antidepressants and Ativan. And Ativan seemed to be the magical anti-anxiety drug for me. Like that worked. It never stopped working. And I took Lexapro, which didn't work. It made me feel kind of very flat. And I'm like always say, I'm not a medical professional, so I can just tell you what I take. I'm not recommending anything.
Right.
But for me, the Lexapro didn't work. And so he switched it. But then remember, an antidepressant takes 4 to 6 weeks to take effect.
Right.
So now I had to wait another 4 to 6 weeks for the second one to take effect. So which is why I kind of call it a scavenger hunt.
Sure.
So I feel like by month 2, I was kind of on a treatment plan. It just takes time. It doesn't, it doesn't work right away.
Right.
And that was kind of my journey into, having, giving myself, like trying to be really gentle with myself, trying not to feel guilty. One of the other reasons why I say I was really lucky is because I slept. Because, the lack of sleep that we get as moms in general exacerbates everything, but a mental health illness.
Yeah.
It really exacerbates. And I had a night nurse. She was just supposed to come for 3 nights a week for 4 weeks to help. And we ended up having her and her aunt come for every night. They would switch off every night for 2 months.
Yeah.
And because I ended up going the formula route after 5 days, partly because I couldn't mentally do the breastfeeding and I needed to take the medicine. I slept at night.
Yeah.
So I think had I not slept, it really would have made it a lot worse. But it really wasn't until I would say Mason was 6 months old where I started to kind of see myself again.
Yeah.
And then by a year was really when I felt like I love him. I love being a mom. I'm confident. I'm better. And then I'm, now I'm 5.5 years out, but like I still have bad days. I still have
Yeah.
lulls. I still take the antidepressants.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a marathon, not a sprint. And I wanted it to be a sprint because, like you're just, please make this stop. Like
Oh,
make
yeah.
these feelings stop. Why can't I love my son? Why don't I
Yeah.
want to spend time with him? Why can't I do any of this? I
Yeah.
wanted to be a mom, and it's horrible.
Oh, it's agonizing. It's just agonizing. And you spoke to that feeling of being so alone.
Right.
And ironically, that's such a universal symptom of postpartum depression is that like feeling alone, feeling unique. And truthfully, it is one of the many reasons though that I started this podcast, and it has come up in several,
Right.
almost every single interview, at some point. I wish that I would have had something to listen to. I'm sure there was stuff, and I always say this, I'm sure there were podcasts at the time, 9.5 years ago, but I didn't know about them. And, but I'm just so glad that you got the help. And it sounds like you're continuing on now on this path because we do still need it. I mean, my son is, 9.5 going on 10, and I still go to therapy. I still take my antidepressants every day, and I still have a self-care regimen and support groups that I go to because I need to maintain my mental health.
Right. No, I think it's so true. And I think you really said it when you said you wish like this podcast was, existed 9.5 years ago, which is probably a huge reason why you created it. You created something that you needed. Same for Motherhood Understood. I mean, I think, and I was only 5.5 years ago. So you're even 4 years further back than then. And I felt at that time, there were blogs and there were things, but I looked online. And I really felt like I couldn't find anything where there were like raw, intimate details from other moms. There were books by therapists. There were, other things, but nothing I could relate to. And so I think when I ended up creating this community, it was kind of the community I was looking for. And it started with just a blog. When Mason was 3, I launched a blog called The Medicated Mommy. And that's how I started. And it really was just to talk about and write about those intimate, raw details that I couldn't find because I really wanted other moms to know about this before they had their babies.
Yes.
How great would it be if like we lived in a world where like a mom got PPD or PPA and it was like, oh, I have postpartum depression, or I have to call my doctor. You know what I mean? Like it was a routine, normal thing. Just like, oh, I have the flu. I need to go see the doctor and find out what I need to do for it. But it's not like that. Hence we're all so alone and we're all so isolated. And, I would have loved to know you 5.5 years ago, right, when I was struggling. But we don't.
Yeah. Well, and a big piece of that, Jen, I think is the shame surrounding that. Like you said, and I love the way you articulated it. You thought that when you were pregnant, I had the same thought, by the way, and I was never really a great cook. I've become a good cook, but I wasn't a good cook. And I'm not a real DIY person either, but I love things that are pretty but I always, I thought, oh, I'm going to magically transform into someone that like floats on fairy dust and sings lullabies and like,
exactly. And it's exactly.
And I actually know a dear friend of mine, Marcy, who lives in Boston, does actually pretty much float on fairy wings. Like I
have a friend like that too.
She's just a mom who she said, oh, you're going to love it. Her kids are older. And she said, every day's like Christmas. And she just called me, her kids are teenagers now. And she's like, I'm going to teach my unicorns and rainbows class, which she is to like little kids. Like she is that person.
I love it.
And I would always think, well, gosh, why does she, that's rare. And I think it's dangerous. Like you're saying about this image that is projected to us on all of these social media sites of the perfection and the seamlessness and, oh, we're so happy and glowing and everything's perfect. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, those moments are real too. That's maybe 8% of the time.
No, it's true. And I really do think that there are moms out there like your friends who really do
absolutely
love it and take to it. And that's their world. And it is like Christmas every day and rainbows and unicorns. I think that they're the exception to the rule. I just think we don't know that because everybody portrays themselves living like that, right? Because they're ashamed because and that doesn't mean that your friend doesn't struggle.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Everybody
Exactly.
struggles. Yeah. It's just that, and I think that portrayal really does us a disservice because we think that there's something wrong with us when we don't live up to that expectation. And it is such an impossible expectation to reach of the perfection of all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a friend too, and she's one of my closest friends, and she has 3 kids and, breastfed each of them for a year, and she struggles and gets stressed, but she always, to me, and she was my first friend to ever have a child. So like her oldest now is in 3rd grade, and she just always had it together, or seemed like she got it. Even when she was struggling, she had it under control.
Yeah.
So and she is like Pinterest, amazing.
Yeah.
I had a birthday luncheon yesterday, and she made me a unicorn cake. Like, she made it. It's like,
That's
it looks
incredible.
Professional. It's on my Instagram stories. I'm
That's
like,
amazing.
What? Like, I would have paid somebody to get a cake, and she's like, no, I got this. I'm doing it.
Wow.
And right. And so I always joke with her that she ruins motherhood for me. Yeah. I mean, and we joke, but I really thought that I was going to be like that. I thought that that's what that's what happened.
Right.
And I think then when like you said, it took you 2.5 years to speak up. Me, even though I spoke up and I was pretty vocal, I remember thinking, oh my God, I just became a mom. What are all my friends, or all these new mom friends I made in Charlotte going to think about the fact that I just became a mom and I'm going to weekly therapy appointments and taking antidepressants for the first time in my life?
Yeah.
Like, what are these people going to think of me?
Yeah.
And now I could give a fuck.
Right. Exactly.
Like, now I own it, and I really try to help moms own it too, because it's so common.
Yeah.
We just don't know. But yeah, those thoughts. And I think the shame is a huge factor.
Yeah, it really is, which is why it's so great that we're talking about it here and other people are talking about it. So tell me more about Motherhood Understood. So you started it as a blog, and then what developed from there? So
I started out as a blog called The Medicated Mommy, and I did that for, I guess, about almost 2 years. And I wanted to kind of go a little bit bigger than that and kind of be more of, I guess I call myself a social media platform and community. And I kind of wanted to do that because rather than kind of writing long stories, I almost wanted to just put quotes out. Mm-hmm. And so to me, Instagram kind of seemed like the most natural place to put memes out, but not those funny, let's make fun of our kids, absurdities of parenting memes. Right. Like those kind of inner dark, scary thoughts that we all have and don't say, kind of unmasking that other side of motherhood, the uglier side, the messier side. Yeah. And it just started to really resonate with moms, these little quotes and these little blurbs, oh my God, that's happened to me. I've thought about that. And so it just kind of grew organically like that. And so I have kind of 2 missions. One, the commitment to take maternal mental health taboos public, so all moms feel like they can do the same and no mom ever has to suffer in silence or not get the help that she needs. And the other part of it, which is kind of what I'm kind of veering into a little now that I have more of a reach and following, is I want to help brands talk to these moms also. Like, I think that a Pampers commercial should show a mom going to her first therapy appointment and using their product, or a mom going to the pharmacy to pick up her antidepressant prescription while she's picking up Dove baby products. I think that this side of motherhood really should be included in mainstream media. And I think that it's gotten so much better. I mean, the fact that most of your guests talk about an experience, and there are so many more blogs and even mom bloggers who do focus on the happier side of motherhood still talk about their anxiety and things like that. Yeah. But I really think one of the ways to really decrease the stigma and make, and normalize maternal mental health is to get it in mainstream and pop culture, in ad campaigns, movie characters, TV characters, and not just like an episode. Right. But make these things the norm. Yes. Yeah. And so that's kind of the other part of my mission, is really to kind of be a catalyst for change kind of in the mainstream, in the mainstream area. Yeah. Because, it's also, this is 20% of new moms. Yeah. That is I mean, that's close to 1 million moms a year
Yeah.
that are not being spoken to and do not feel heard.
Totally. And I would guess, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a stats person, but I would just guess that it's more than that because there's
Of
so many,
course.
you know what I mean? So,
Right. That's reported.
Right.
That's reported. Right.
So tell me how you're implementing that vision because you have quite a following on your account,
Right.
which is impressive. And you're doing all this cool stuff. So tell me what you're up to because I'm just so inspired.
I mean, I've only started to kind of, I think, branch out and kind of, maybe delve into the influencer space now that I have a decent sized following. The first thing I've done is I worked with a company called We Go Health, and they're really cool. They are a community of patient leaders because they believe that if you have an illness or a disease, you want to hear from people who've gone through it, not just the doctor. So I've been working with them a lot on some postpartum depression content, and I helped them do some videos for a company called Sage Therapeutics. And Sage is, they're waiting on FDA approval for the first ever postpartum depression specific drug.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. And they had a campaign, I think, that came out last year, and it was a little provocative and it really fell flat with moms. So I did some video content for that. And I have a few things coming up in 2019 that I'm not allowed to talk about or announce
exciting.
Yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
really
cool.
good stuff. But so I think it's kind of right now, I'm just kind of trying to get my name out and get my message out a little bit more.
Yeah.
This way, when I approach brands, I can say, look, here are 20% of new moms who don't experience this idyllic picture of motherhood that you're promoting in a campaign, which leaves 20% of new moms feeling guilty or shame and they can't relate. And, moms, you get you get a mom's trust, you relate to them, they want what you have.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I am with that. And this kind of came out of the fact that last year in March, Brooke, who was your guest this past week, and I were at a mom conference in LA, and we were watching a new campaign that was coming out by Carter's, and it was about the firsts. You were there for all your firsts. And I remember when it was over, I looked back at Brooke and I said, well, I feel guilty now because I missed all those firsts. I didn't experience any of that. And I felt like there's got to be a way to be able to still do that. That stuff is still necessary.
Yeah.
But somehow incorporate the other side.
Yes. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's profound because you're right. It kind of leaves out a whole section of moms.
Right. And in that room were 800 moms. And so if 20% of those moms had some type of maternal mental health issue, that's 200 moms in that room that also could not relate necessarily to that ad.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to change.
Yeah. I love that. Wow. So your son is 5.5. So is he in kindergarten now?
He is. He's in kindergarten.
Oh. And what is that like for you? Has that been lovely having a little more time to work on this?
It's been great. So I have had a part-time nanny since he was 6 months old.
Okay.
Partly because when I sold myself that fairy tale, unicorn version of motherhood, I was going to do it all myself. I wasn't going to be working anymore. So, and very quickly we needed help during the day anyway, because I couldn't be alone with him and my husband had to go back to work.
Yeah.
So one of the night nurses ended up nannying for us during the day. And at 6 months, when I started to get better, we hired this amazing woman, Renee, and she came a couple days a week. Because I don't have, besides, some men, I don't have my mom down here or my mother-in-law. So she's been with us since Mason was 6 months old. And we stopped, we ended our contract with her right before he went to kindergarten. So that was a little heartbreaking and sad because she's part of our family.
Yeah.
I was really sad about that. And I think, I know it sounds funny, but I think the first week she wasn't here, I really had post nanny depression, which I know is kind of like a first world problem. And
it makes so much sense.
Yeah. But the first week I didn't have her. Mason was off from school for 2 days because he goes to a Jewish day school. And there's a million different Jewish holidays at the beginning of October.
Yes.
And I just fell into this depression, and she left me a voice note on WhatsApp and I was listening to in my car and the waterworks. I just started hysterical. And then after that week, I was better. So it's been a transition, but he goes to this amazing after school program where he goes to school. So I have a lot of time. I can pick him up as late as 6:00 if I want. It's great. And he loves it. The first day he was there, I went and I picked him up at 4 because I'm like, I work, but I don't work.
Yeah.
And he said, Mommy, why can't you come when all the other mommies come? And I'm like, okay, you want me to come at 6:00? I'll come at 6:00.
Yeah.
Like, more time for me.
Wow. That's
but yeah,
great.
It's good. So I have one. I'm totally a one and doneer.
Yeah, me too.
I knew very quickly that I wasn't having any more kids.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, and partly because of the PPD, like I never want to go through that again. Yeah. And you are at a 50% chance higher risk.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
If you've had it once. But I think too, I felt like even when he turned 2 and 3, every time we hit a milestone and like we got to pack the bottles up, and buy sippy cups. And I kept feeling like I had come so far.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go back. So I always say to people, because people are judgy, there's a lot of judgy assholes. Like, how could you not give him a sibling?
Yeah.
And I always tell people, I say, I chose to give my son a happy, healthy mom instead of a sibling.
Yeah.
And their face kind of like goes a little bit, white. And they're like, okay. And they don't know what to say. And it shuts the whole conversation down.
Yeah. Well, it's such a personal thing for people to comment.
Of course.
I mean, it always floors me too when people comment to, women who don't have children, women who aren't mothers yet, or maybe don't want to be. And people comment on, when are you going to have a baby? And it's like, that is so presumptuous, Like,
right. It's none of your business.
It's none of your business. Yeah. Yeah. So that's so great because my son, it's very interesting. He wants to be with me all the time. So he's
okay.
I have sort of the opposite thing where even now at 9.5, he wants me to pick him up early from school. He was, he does love he's in a new school now and he loves his new school, but it's really interesting for me balancing that of course I want to spend time with you and I love you and you're my angel, but like mommy's got to work. Like mommy's got to have her, alone time and being a divorced mom, I'm very fortunate that my ex-husband, his dad, has him some of the time. And so I have that time to myself. But I think it's so healthy when kids have other caregivers, like you had your nanny, Renee, like that's so healthy for him to bond. And then it just speaks even more that he's like, no, I want to stay and play. Like, I think that's amazing. And win-win for you.
Yeah. I'm really lucky in that sense. I feel like, well, I get it though. And I also, that whenever he's like, play with me, will you play with me?
Yeah.
And I know that like if he had a sibling, he'd have a sibling. And I'm like, now I know why people have more kids. Yeah. So like they don't have to play with their kids. Yeah. Kids can play together. Yeah. But no, it is hard. I think that, again, I was lucky, but I think that all of this was forced upon me. I was forced to let other people take care of him. Yeah. I was forced to stay in bed and take care of my health. Yeah. And so I think luckily that kind of made him, I guess, independent and resilient in that way, because whether it was our nanny or the night nurse or my husband or my mom or my father-in-law who lives in Charlotte, watched him, he's always been really good about going into a new place or a school or, he wants to he also likes to be at the center of attention. Yeah. And like you never want to give my child a microphone. You won't, you won't get it back. And I know where he gets it from. It's not my husband, but it's, so I've been lucky, but no, moms need their own time and you can love your son and also not want to be with your son for 6 hours at the same time. Like they're not mutually exclusive. Yes. And I think that's another important message too, is that, which also, it comes with motherhood no matter what, but also with the mental health illness, like postpartum depression or anxiety, is that your identity as a mom. Yeah. I think part of the reason why I got sick so quickly is because what I thought my identity as a mom would be, yes, it was nothing like that. And it sent my body into such shock. Yeah. I remember sitting at my therapist's office complaining that like, I thought I was going to be a mom, like my mother-in-law, she's like Martha Stewart,
Yeah.
all this stuff. And I'm more like, I don't want to make crafts and I don't want to cut. And she said, Jen, like, fuck all those other moms. Like, you are you.
I love her.
Right. And she did. I know. She's awesome. And it took me a while to kind of come around,
Yeah.
on that. But she said that. And she said, you are you. That's enough. Like, you're not this mom. You're not that mom. You're just you.
Yeah.
And I still talk about that because I think it's such an important message. It goes along with the perfection is that the comparing.
Yes. God, and the pressure we put on ourselves.
I know.
Oh, it's just, and it's so like deep in us from childhood, I guess, or I mean, just that idea of this construct of what a woman is, what a wife is, what a mom is, what a lover is. It's like we're not allowed the freedom, or I wasn't, I should speak for myself, to define it for myself. I
right.
wasn't,
And you don't know to.
and I didn't know to. I didn't know to until I was 40. You know what I mean? Really, like till my late 30s.
Well, right.
Yeah.
I do. Until I had PPD, I had no clue.
Yeah.
So I always say, like, I'm really grateful for my postpartum depression. I wouldn't trade my experience.
Yes.
Because I have this whole identity and voice and purpose because of it.
Yeah.
And I, before motherhood, like I went from career to career, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to write, I knew I liked more of the creative space, but right. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know that like before you're like the, pre-Jen and Jennifer, woman and post motherhood, women are different. Like
so
how
different.
could you know who you are until you become a mother if that's what you're going to do?
Right. Right. Yeah. It's so true.
Which is why I love the MILF podcast because you're completely redefining such a common, a common term that's thrown around, for how you want it to be.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Well, and I talk about this on the show often is sexuality was a big part of that redefining or just like newly defining it for me because I just wasn't even really in touch with my own sexuality before. And I couldn't have been because I didn't sort of go to these depths before that I had. And I had depression. I have suffered from depression pretty much my whole life. And I was treated for depression before I got pregnant, which then I learned also put me at a higher risk for having postpartum, which makes it even crazier that I didn't ask for help. Right. But that's just shows you how strong this idea of, oh, I can lick this myself. There's something in us that just like, no, I can, I don't need to go back on meds. Like I already been on meds and they had already worked for me previously. Right. And I still didn't want to go that route. It's amazing to me that the strength of that old idea. Wow. Well, it's so great to talk to you and I can't wait to see what you do in 2019. With these exciting projects. And
thank you.
Happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you. It was the 17th, but two of my friends hosted it was really a great idea. It was a girls' night out, but at lunchtime.
Oh, perfect.
So it was from 11 to 2. One of my friends had a guitar player come. So there was a guitar player playing like Tom Petty and Billy Joel, and everybody brought food and there amazing. Was wine and champagne and the amazing unicorn cake.
That's incredible.
Because I do love unicorns. I don't believe unicorns have a place in motherhood, but I do have an obsession with unicorns outside of motherhood.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So we've come to the time in the interview where I ask you the 3 questions I ask every guest. And then we're going to go into a fun lightning round of questions.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so the first question, Jen, is what do you think about when you hear the word MILF?
I still think of the mom I'd like to fuck, but also I have socks. I have these red knee-high socks, and they say MILF.
Oh my
on
God,
the bottom.
That's amazing.
They say MILF, and they're, what is it, like Arthur George, like Rob Kardashian had a sock company for like 10 minutes.
No way, I didn't know this.
And I know. And I think like Chris had to buy it from him because it made no money or something. But I have these red socks that go up to like almost my knees. And on the bottom, they say Milf.
That is incredible. And I might have to steal it and make swag for for my.
I think you need MILF. I would wear it. I would wear it all.
Okay. What is something you've changed your mind about recently?
Diets.
Oh, say more.
So I have like been struggling to drop weight lately and, just have put it on and things like that. And I am such a yo-yo dieter. I've done every diet on the planet. And I think after doing kind of a lot of like personal development work and certain workshops, I think, and the fact that like 98% of diets fail anyway, I think that it's more, it's about self-love. It's not about diets and it's not about the food. It's about really shifting your mindset that you're enough and that you love yourself and you show yourself and your body love, by making healthy choices and stuff like that. So I'm trying to shift in that space versus just like, I'm never eating sugar again because that doesn't work.
Right. Yeah. That doesn't work for me either. I love that philosophy. That's a good one. Really healthy. How do you define success?
I think success is when you wake up every morning and you're excited to wake up and start your day because your day is filled with doing things that you love.
Agreed. 100%. Okay. Round of questions. Ocean or desert?
Ocean.
Favorite junk food?
A really good, like soft, melty chocolate chip cookie.
Oh, yeah. Movies or Broadway show?
That's really tough. Can I say both? I can't choose between them.
You can say whatever you want. There's no right.
I can't choose.
Daytime sex or nighttime sex?
Daytime.
Texting or talking?
I love to talk, but at this point in my life, when I'm a mom and so busy, texting for sure.
Yeah. Cat person or dog person?
100% dog person.
Have you ever worn a unitard?
No, I haven't.
Shower or bathtub?
Shower for the most part. And then I feel like at a spa, a hotel, like when there is that bathtub in front of that freestanding tub in front of you, a really relaxing bubble bath for sure.
Ice cream or chocolate?
Ice cream.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at ping pong?
Maybe like a 4.5.
Okay. What's your biggest pet peeve?
When people don't follow directions that are right in front of them. Like somebody asks a question somewhere and literally like they were just told the answer, but they still ask them. It makes me crazy. And I think part of it is from being a teacher because I would teach middle school and they would ask the same questions over and over again. And like I could write the answers to the test on the board and some of them would still fail.
Right.
So it's like, just read the directions, please. I think that's, yeah.
If you could push a button and it would create 10 years of world peace, but it would also place a 100-year ban on all beauty products, would you push it?
Yeah, I think I'd push it.
Superpower choice: invisibility, ability to fly, and I'm going to add one, super strength. Which do you choose?
I feel like I already have super strength.
Yes.
Maybe not physically, but mentally. Yes. And I definitely invisibility.
Would you rather have 6 fingers on both hands or a belly button that looks like foreskin?
I think a belly button because you don't see your belly button every day, but your hands, like everyone sees and I talk with my hands. So I feel like I would be talking and somebody would be like, does that girl have 12 fingers? Yeah. Totally. I'll do the belly. Right.
Okay. What was the name of your first pet?
This is really embarrassing. It was Whipped Cream was the name of my first dog. I was 7 years old. It was a white West Highland Terrier.
Oh, I love those.
They were so cute. And I had been begging for a dog and I was at sleepaway camp and on visiting day, my parents surprised me and said, we got a dog. Here's a picture. What do you want to name her? And like, they put me on the spot and I couldn't think of anything. And I just said Whipped Cream and we called her Whippy. And the funniest thing is that I hate whipped cream. I don't like whipped cream or custard or anything with that like yogurt, except for frozen yogurt. I don't like anything with that texture.
Yeah.
But her name was Whippy. We called her
Whippy.
Yeah. Now my dog's name is Harry Potter, and that's
fantastic. And what was the name of the street you grew up on?
Sandstone Trail.
So your poor name is Whippy Sandstone.
Whippy Sandstone. Not bad.
That's kind of hot.
Not bad. The best porn, well, my husband's porn name is Samuel Adams.
No, it's not.
Which I think is awesome. And that's if you do middle name and street is Samuel Adams. And then one of my closest friends, hers is Heidi Deepwood. And those are the two best I've ever heard.
I don't know, Whippy Sandstone.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
We could spin some yarns about her.
We could work
what
with
she's
that.
doing in her life.
Whippy Sandstone's going to need a unitard. Probably.
Yeah, she is. Yeah,
some other things.
Oh, Jen, it's been such a treat having you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. I really hope you enjoyed my conversation with Jen. And tune in next week when I will be interviewing Catherine McCord of Weelicious. I got to sit down with her in her beautiful home and have an amazing conversation with her. She reminded me when I walked in, she's like, we actually know each other. I was like, what? Such an amazing spirit, so warm and lovely. And just a quick reminder, go ahead and write a review on iTunes. For every iTunes review I get this month, I will be donating $3 to Every Mother Counts, which is an incredible organization founded by Christy Turlington Burns after she made a film about it, giving maternity care for women all around the world. It's an incredible place, an organization. So do that. I just love you guys so much. Have a great and happy holiday and be gentle with yourself.